Hi guys. You say hi? Freya had a great time. She went to the farmer's market with Dad this morning while I stayed home and did nothing. It was great. I did put groceries away. That's all I did. Dad took the kids. I forgot I did go plant shopping. We're gonna do our front yard, and I went and got these. Let's see. Delphiniums, and these are called winter creeper, and these guys, look how pretty they are, dianthus, and these little swirly bushes are called Japanese silver grass. And then I also got some fruit trees for our orchard I'm gonna put in our backyard. So got 2 cherry trees, 2 peach trees, and 2 apple trees. I still want to get a couple plum trees, and I saw a pomegranate tree. So we used to live in St. George. It's about 40 minutes south of us, and down there it's a lot warmer. So you can have pomegranate trees, and we love the pomegranate trees. But here it's too cold. Except I saw there's a pomegranate tree that you can grow in Canada, and it says it will do temperatures up to like -10 degrees, which we rarely hit that. Sometimes we do, but I'm gonna get one of those and see how it'll do here. But I'm so excited. The cherries trees already have cherries on them, so hopefully in a couple years we'll be able to get a good harvest. I thought today would be a good time for another story time episode. What are you girls looking for? Still haven't found it? I'll call the library tomorrow. I swear we turned it in. Should we go talk to him tomorrow? Okay. There's Freya's closet. We have a library book that they say we didn't turn in, but I swear we did. Huh. Can't find it. So I thought I would tell you the story of Freya's eye surgery. Freya has had to date 1 surgery, 1 hospitalization, which was the surgery. What did you just say?
I think her eyes couldn't close or open well, so we had to do like surgery on her eyelid?
Yeah, couldn't open. So Freya was born with ptosis. Hi, in her left eye. Very common with CDLS. We took her to the eye doctor. So Liam was born with cross eyes. It's called strabismus. It runs in Chris's family. So he had to have eye surgery when he was little. And ever since then, the doctor said, every child you have, I want you to bring in so that we can check and make sure they don't have any misalignment, since it is a family trait. So we took Freya in. She was about 9 months old for her checkup with that eye doctor to make sure she didn't have any alignment issues, and she didn't, but he said you'll probably want to get her eyes checked for the ptosis, which is a droopy eyelid on her left side, because if it droops down past her pupil, it can cause lots of vision problems in the future. Basically, the eyes know they're not getting the same picture, and it can eventually shut off the eye that's not giving the correct picture. So he sent us to an eyelid specialist that just specializes in eyelid surgery. So we went and saw him. He said we could wait and do the surgery, or we could do the surgery soonish. And we talked about kind of the pros and cons of waiting, and decided just to wait about 6 months to hopefully get her to gain a little bit more weight and then do the surgery. So Freya was about 18 months old when we went in for the surgery. Hi. The pros of not waiting is obviously the eye, or the brain won't shut off the vision in that eye. She won't lose any vision. The cons are it's riskier to do surgery on a smaller baby, and as she grows, the part that they fixed can relax itself and she could need to have the surgery again. But to me, keeping all her vision was more important than the risks of having to do another surgery. So we decided to go ahead and schedule that surgery for when she was 18 months. Also, kids with CDLS have a hard time with anesthesia. You're showing everybody your pretzel. Yeah, it's a pretzel. So the doctor suggested that if we need anything else done, that we group it with that surgery. And we didn't need any surgeries done, but we did need some blood work taken and a skin sample taken for her diagnosis, because at that time we didn't have a genetic diagnosis for CDLS. We just had a clinical diagnosis, meaning that they looked at her and said, we think it's CDLS. So we did coordinate with the blood and the skin sample that they could do that while she was under for anesthesia. So obviously my husband and I were very worried putting her under anesthesia, especially kids with CDLS have increased risk of not being able to be intubated. So they put them under and then they aren't able to get a breathing tube down their throat because they are so small. They also have an increased risk of needing oxygen after surgery, a harder time coming out of anesthesia, sleepier. You want to go play? She was just signing. That's what she does. Were you signing play? So this is play, but she does this. Okay, let's get you to go play.
Can you find some pizza sauce?
So we made sure to schedule this surgery with our children's hospital, which is about 3.5 to 4 hours away from our house. Freya decided she didn't want to play. You want to come back up and see Mom? You gonna come back up? That way the anesthesiologists are used to working on little children and hopefully could help with that. Which meant we had to wait a little while longer to get the surgery done, but it made us feel so much more comfortable. So we drove up the night before and stayed with my aunt. She lives close to the children's hospital. And the night before surgery, they can have food up to a certain number of hours before surgery and then juice a certain number of hours before surgery. So I think it was 6 hours before surgery she could have juice, and 8 hours before surgery she could have her milk. So I ended up waking her up at midnight to feed her the juice. Yes. Yes. And she was so cute and so smiley. And I took a bunch of pictures really thinking, like, if anything happens tomorrow, like, these would be my last great memories with her, which, you know, dramatic, but I'm so glad I did because they're very cute pictures. Huh? We went to the hospital. We got checked in pretty easily. Luckily, we were one of the first cases so that Freya didn't have to go without her milk for too long. We got there, got checked in, got Freya in her little hospital jammies. And the anesthesiologist came in and I had a long talk with him about her syndrome and what can happen. And this doctor was just like, I'm not worried at all. Like, you don't even need to tell me. I'm not worried. I do this all the time on little tiny kids. I do this on little preemie babies. Like, I'll be able to get her tube in. Okay. And I was like, yeah, but you don't understand. He's like, no, I'm not worried. And I was like, okay. But everything went great. Yes, it did. It went great, huh? So what they had to do on her eye, there's a couple different ways you can do the surgery, but they ended up cutting out a part of her eyelid and sewing it back together just to kind of raise that up. The other way is they can put in like a little something to tack the eyelid up to, but they just made a little incision here and lifted up that lid, and it went beautifully, didn't it? They also did, Freya has very small tear ducts and they tend to get clogged a lot and infected a lot. So they did go in and widen her tear ducts at the same time. That has helped a little bit. It seemed to really help at first, and then as she's grown, it's kind of back to how it was. You're being so cute today. Yeah, you making faces to the camera, huh? So luckily we were able to get all of those done along with the blood work and the skin sample. She came back out of surgery. She did have a harder time waking up from surgery. They called us to tell us the surgery was done and that we would be able to see her in like 10 or 15 minutes. Like 30 minutes goes by, 45 minutes goes by, like nothing. And the nurse finally called and she's like, she's still pretty out of it, but we'll bring her back to you guys. And we had to sit there, and she did have oxygen problems coming out of surgery. So we had to sit there with an oxygen mask on her and just kind of hold her. Eventually she just ended up not really waking up, but not needing the oxygen anymore. And when she didn't need the oxygen anymore and she was able to drink a little bit of her bottle, they did let us go home. Now, the surgeon came to talk to us before he left, and he said, well, I am going down to Cedar City, because he is actually from our same city. He lives in Salt Lake. Sorry, my hand's shaking. He lives in Salt Lake, where that hospital is, but he is originally from Cedar City. So he was coming down to visit family. And he's like, so if you need me, I'll be in Cedar City. I won't be here. And so we were planning on spending the day and the night and the next day in Salt Lake, but he wasn't going to be there anyway. So we decided we would just drive home that day. So we packed up and made the 4-hour drive, and Freya did really good. She slept most of the way, and we got home that night and she did amazing. She never really needed any like narcotics for the pain. We had to put an eye ointment on her eye for a couple weeks, and that was honestly the worst part because she hated it. But it looks amazing. When we had our first follow-up, the doctor asked, like, how do you think it looks? And I was like, I don't know if I noticed a difference. And he was like, really? And then he pulled up the before and after pictures, and I was like, oh, I guess I just forgot how droopy it was. And now you can hardly tell, huh? It is a little bit droopier than that right eyelid, but not by much. And I think, I mean, it healed up so good. I know, that's right in your eyeball, huh? It healed up really well. We've never had any issues, and I'm so glad she can fully see the world, huh? Yes. Freya, where'd you get that pretzel? Where'd you get that pretzel? Where'd you get that pretzel? Where'd you get it? Bonk. Where'd you get that pretzel? Did you crawl into the pantry and get it all by yourself? Yeah, good job. So, I'd like to say hopefully that will be Freya's only surgery in life, but having a kid with a rare syndrome that is a medically complex diagnosis, I know we'll probably see the inside of an OR at least a couple more times. But we're glad that surgery went well, and we're glad we don't have any upcoming surgeries that we know of yet. Freya's been extremely healthy this last year, and I love it so much. She's been able to make so many developmental jumps because her body isn't healing, isn't healing itself from sickness or healing itself from surgery. And I really think that shows in everything she's learned in the last little bit. So thanks for listening to our story. I hope you enjoyed the cute pictures of baby Freya. She was the cutest, sweetest little baby. And looking back at those pictures makes me miss little baby Freya, although I love how far she has come. So I hope you'll stop by next time and see what we're up to.